Hey guys, welcome to another yoga class with Living Room Yoga with Marissa. I am so glad you're here to practice with me today. Today's flow is going to be a 40-minute full body vinyasa flow focusing on pigeon and flying pigeon. So don't let that freak you out. If you've never done that pose before or you've never even heard of it, don't stress. We're going to work all the way up to it. We'll spend about 2 minutes on the inversion posture, the arm balance, and if you're not feeling it, you can always skip ahead, but you may find that you just want to give it a shot. So we are actually going to start today in mountain pose. So go ahead and head to your mat and find a good standing posture. If you'd like to add the playlist to go with this class, it's a 40-minute yoga class playlist on Spotify that I've created, and it is titled Yoga Class 40 Minutes Pigeon. So that's how you know which one you're looking for. So if you want to sync the playlist with the class, go ahead and hit play in 3, 2, 1. Perfect. I have it playing very gently in the background so that I can hear it and tie my class to it. I love that. So, starting in your mountain pose, standing up nice and tall, reach your fingertips towards the ground and let your shoulders just melt away from your ears. And go ahead and close your eyes if you'd like. Your feet can be hip width apart or toes to touching. Hip width might feel the best because your hip sockets will just be right plugged in, shooting straight down, and it's a good balance for your weight. So really open up your arms, reach through your fingertips. Don't just let them dead noodle dangle. Really reach them. And with your eyes closed, we'll start at our feet. So go ahead and as you're tuning into your breath, we'll do a full body scan starting at our feet. So start to take nice, gentle, deep breaths. And then wiggle your toes and make sure they're not grabbing onto your mat for dear life. Place them back down. And then lift up through your legs. So you want to root through the mat, but also grow vertically. So you don't ever want to feel like your weight is sinking or dumping into the floor, not just in mountain pose, but in any posture, really. So just really imagine and feel that lift. Maybe your kneecaps slowly draw up and into your thighs. You can feel your glutes engage and support you. Support your torso at the base there. And then gently lift your pubic bone. And what that does is it roots your tailbone towards the floor. So if you don't know what that means or what that feels like, you can always arch your back and see, kind of feel like a little waddling duck. And you can feel your pubic bone and your tailbone are now pointing backwards, and then rotate them back under. So you don't want to tuck and hunch. It's just a gentle rotation. And as you do that, you will feel your low core start to fire up just very gently. Okay, so we're lifted and strong from our waist down. And then just feel that lift and energy float up through your rib cage, and making sure that rib cage isn't poking out, shooting energy out. You want to draw that back in so it's synced up with your hip bones. Your spine is long and tall. Let that length reach up from the back of your neck and draw energy out the crown of your head. Good. This is mountain pose. So you might be saying, wow, this feels really different than any other mountain pose I've ever done before. And if you've, those cues have kind of helped guide your posture, I imagine that it is quite different. Every time I'm in this pose and a teacher gives cues, I'm always amazed at how many things I can engage and correct while just standing. So go ahead and let your head, you drop to your shoulder, ear to shoulder, and then rock chin to chest and ear to shoulder, just taking gentle half neck rolls side to side. Keep reaching your palms down, creating that extra space in your shoulders and your neck, deepening that stretch. As you start to move, keep your breath flowing gently in and out through your nose. As we move through our postures, I will give you cues on when to inhale and exhale. Don't let that create franticness in your breath while you're holding and exhaling oddly. Just try to allow the flow of your breath to slowly sync with that, linking with your movements, and see how that enhances your practice. Allow your head to come up to center. Maybe your eyes are still closed. Take some big shoulder rolls. You can use your whole arm, really getting your elbows up and around and lifted, rolling back and down, up, back, and down. Lifting through your core, very supported. And reverse, shoulders up, forwards, and down. Big shoulder rolls getting into your chest and your back and your neck. Everything's involved. Good. Finding stillness in your mountain pose. Inhale your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale your hands down to your heart center, drawing your thumbs into your sternum so there's a connection there. You can feel, you can even kind of press and lift up through your sternum and let that raise your heart up. You can press into your palms, engaging through your shoulders and your back. So again, a very active posture. And if you'd like to set an intention for your practice today, go ahead and do that. Your intention might be confidence. On the flip side, your intention might be humility. It might be compassion or acceptance. Acceptance of others, acceptance of yourself, even when our practice doesn't look or feel the way that we'd like it to, even when our life doesn't look and feel the way that we might want it to. We can still give ourselves grace and acceptance. Might be optimism. Go ahead and take that intention. Inhale your arms to the sky. Breathe it into your body. Palms to touch. Exhale your hands, bringing your thumbs to your third eye center, either your thumb tips or just your hands. This can just be an interesting connection point here. Bring that intention to the forefront of your brain. Glue it to the front of your mind and let it guide you today. Bring your hands down to heart center. Let your eyes gently flutter open. Ready to move. Inhale your arms to the sky. Exhale, sink down into a gentle chair. Gentle little chair here, hands to heart center. Inhale as you fill up your lungs. Exhale, forward fold. I'm going to turn on my mat to meet you. And forward fold at the top or middle of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step your way back to a high plank. So for strength movement here, see if you can kind of find that mountain pose body from your heels to the crown of your head. Obviously, the main difference here is that our hands are supporting our weight, which is firing up our core, but our legs can still be lifted and airy. Our shoulders can still press away from our ears. Our tailbone can still root down as if it's pointing to our heels. Take some gentle rocks forward and backward, using the balls of your toes to propel your weight, shoulders over wrists, and then heels over toes, and rotate. Forwards and backwards, forwards and backwards. Your core might already be feeling it. We're going to lower to our belly. So if you like to draw down to your knees for this first one, squeeze your elbows into your chest and lower all the way down to your belly. You can let your forehead come to the mat. Press your toes down into the mat, pressing your toenails. You might find that lifts your knees when you do so. That's perfectly fine. Squeeze through your glutes. Your hands are still under your shoulders or slightly in front or behind. Find what works for you. Squeeze your elbows together. Inhale as you lift up gently. Exhale, lower your forehead to the mat. These are baby cobras. Inhale, gentle lift. Exhale, forward, forehead to the mat. Last one, inhale, and this time squeeze your hands back towards your feet, like you're trying to draw it along your mat. Exhale, your forehead down. Push back into child's pose, so kind of coming through a tabletop. Press back into child's pose, reaching your arms ahead of you. Let your forehead melt to the mat. We'll repeat that with just a little more speed, breath to movement. One more breath here. Deep inhale. Let it go. Exhale. Inhale through your tabletop. Curl your toes under. Hips go up and back. Downward facing dog. It's our first one, so feel free to wiggle and sway. Press one heel into the mat and then the other. You can always keep your knees gently bent in downward facing dog. Gaze at your fingertips. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Toes can touch or be hip width apart. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up to standing. Bring that intention back to your mind. Exhale, chair. Inhale, hold. Exhale, fold. Over your legs. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Step or jump back to your plank. Few rocks forward and back. Forward and back. Squeeze your thighs towards one another. Engage through your glutes. Feel that fire up your muscles. Lowering down to your belly. Inhale, lift your shoulders. You can even start to press into your hands if you want to come to more of a cobra. Exhale, down. 2 more times. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down, keeping your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, lift. If you're like, what does that mean? Find your turtle shell and come out of it. Sinking back into child's pose. Let your forehead rest on the mat. Melt your heart. Almost did that one more time. So come through your tabletop. Pause here for a little cat-cow. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Tuck your tailbone one more time. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat stretch. Curl your toes under. Lift your hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Step or walk your feet to the front of your mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, hold. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Squeeze your belly button to your spine. Exhale, plant your hands. Step back, maybe with the opposite foot first this time to your plank. Rocks forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and back, forward and lower down to your belly. 3 cobras or upward facing dog. Inhale, exhale, lower. Press your toenails to the mat. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift, cobra. Exhale, lower. Sink back into child's pose. One big deep breath. Inhale, fill up. Open mouth, exhale. Inhale, coming through your tabletop. Curl your toes under. Hips up and back. Gaze at your fingertip. Step or hop your feet forward. Toes to touch or hip width apart, your choice. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up, coming to standing. Exhale, sink down into your chair pose. Good. Now you can really sink into it here if you'd like. Make sure you can still see your toes gazing down. Start to shift your weight to your right foot. So start to peel your left toes off the mat and see if you can hook your left ankle to your right knee. We've done this before if you've been following along with my online classes. So this should be familiar, one-legged chair. So you can hold on if you need it, but for now, in preparation of what's to come, see if you can, whoops, I shouldn't have looked away. Gaze at the floor in front of you, that will help your balance. See if you can keep your back long, but bring your elbows to your knee and your ankle or your heel. So you're still in your chair, you're still balancing, you're still holding, but you're reaching your torso. That right hip Whether or not you can reach is probably largely due to your left hip flexibility. So if you're not there, don't stress. It's okay. Taking your elbows off, see if you can pick up your left knee and send your left foot to the back of your mat, coming into your crescent lunge. Reaching your arms high. Now for some playful fun here, once you find your lunge and you're situated, your hips are square, your tailbone is rooted, you're as low as you want to be. I'm not too low today. That's okay. See if you want to play, you can come up onto your right toes. This will challenge your balance for sure. You're on front and back toes. Maybe you just raise it up a teensy bit and just feel that engagement in your calf. Maybe you just invited your glute to the party. You'll feel different things. Engage. It's just something fun to play with. Lowering your heel, open up to your right. Let your hands fall parallel to the mat, opening to the right in a twist here. It's an odd twist. Try not to let your hips sink with it. Keep your hips square and just open up as far as you can. Inhale back to center. Exhale, warrior two. Nice deep breaths. In your warrior two here, you can line up your front heel with the middle of your back foot if that feels good. Same thing, if you want to play a little bit here, come up onto that front toe. That might allow you to kind of sink, get into that right hip a little bit more. Today with a focus on pigeon, we will be getting into those hips, but this is kind of the opposite side, the inside groin side, so that might feel really good. Bring that heel down, shift your weight forward, opening up into side angle. This is a great time for a block. You can open up your arms to 6 and 12. You can rest one hand, one elbow on your knee, reach a hand towards the block or the floor, and you can gaze down at the floor, up at your hand, and breathe. Bring that intention back into focus. Floating up, reaching your arms long, flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. Cartwheel your hands all the way down to the mat. It's time to start really moving, doing great. Find your plank. Now you have options here. You can do just what we've been doing at the beginning of class. Lower to your belly and lift a cobra. Or you can take your chaturanga, stopping halfway, curl your toes under, and lift into upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Come back to your breath. Come back to your intention. Yoga is all about the mind-body connection. So if we're just moving our body and our mind is roaming elsewhere, you're not going to get the benefits of drawing those two in unison. So I encourage you to allow yourself to focus in. Don't let your mind wander. Bring it to the moment, the present moment. You can do this. Inhale, gaze at your fingertips. Step or walk your feet to your hands on your exhale. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, sink your hands down and come into your chair pose. Squeezing your belly button in through your spine, lengthening your spine. So you want to have it super straight and drawn in. Start to shift your weight to your left foot and peel your right off the mat, bringing your right ankle to your left knee. And then let that knee just fall open gently, sinking back into your chair. If there's any discomfort in your knee, you can always avoid this. You can keep it higher. You can come to eagle legs. You can stay in chair pose. Flexing your foot will help engage and protect that knee. And then if you'd like to start hinging forward at the hips, drawing your elbows to your knee and your heel. That will again help us, give us a little prep work into our flying pigeon later. Good. Start to come up just a little bit so you can draw that knee to your chest, and then send your right leg to the back of your mat, gently plopping down into your crescent lunge, reaching your arms up. Overhead, you can always reach out for balance, or hips For a little release. If you feel good, you can reach your arms up. Engage through your right glute. Your right leg doesn't have to be straight, but keep that right glute fired up. We have a tendency to let it go, and that can also cause us to dump into our low back. By squeezing that glute, you will naturally root your tailbone, and your low back will feel so much better. If you'd like to come up onto your left toe, you may. Give that a try. Challenge your balance. Challenge your left glute. You can always play with it like before. Gentle lift and lowers just to kind of test the waters. And then lowering your heel, open up to your twist. Really squeeze your right butt cheek. That will help you keep from sinking into this twist. You want to twist from the waist up. So everything from your hips down look exactly as they should in crescent lunge. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, warrior two. Ooh, it feels good. Opening your hips, stacking shoulders over hips. Reach your arms long. If you'd like to lift onto that left toe, you can. Give that a try. Just a different sensation, different muscles working. Plant it down. Reach your left arm forward, opening up into our side angle again. If you want your block, you can grab it here. Open up your arms to 6 and 12. Again, avoid crunching towards the mat. You want to lift through your arms and then bring that block to you. So I love the block here. If you have a bind and side angle and you want to take it, go for it. You can, of course, always keep one arm on your knee for some relief, excuse me. Good. Floating back up to your warrior two, reverse your palm. Reverse your warrior, deep stretch through the left side body. Exhale your hands all the way down to the mat. Finding your plank. Taking your chaturanga. Upward facing dog or whatever variation you'd like. Downward facing dog. We'll do that sequence one more time with a little bit more speed. So don't get caught up in your head thinking, am I strong enough? Am I going to be able to make it? You can totally do it. And it's going to feel different when you connect breath to movement instead of holding for so long. If you're like, no problem, I've got this, I don't feel tired at all yet, then I encourage you to make it more difficult. Go deeper in your lunges. Really engage through your arms in a new way. See how that feels. Gaze up at your fingertips. Step or hop your feet into your hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, sink down to your chair pose. Inhale, shift your weight to your right foot. Exhale, hook ankle to knee. You can go ahead and bring those elbows down if you want to try that. Inhale, comes back up. Exhale, sink that foot to the back of your mat. Inhale into your crescent lunge. If you'd like to lift the toe, you can. On your next exhale, open up to your twist. Inhale, revolve your arms all the way open up, warrior two. Coming up on your toe. Putting it down, sink your weight forward, open up, side angle. Exhale, lifts. Inhale, reaches back. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down. If you'd like for an extra challenge here, you can keep this leg lifted in your plank when you take your chaturanga, and then both feet come to the mat. Upward facing dog, downward facing dog. One more side. Gaze at your fingertips, step or hop your feet into your hands. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach all the way up. Exhale, sink to your chair. Inhale, shift your weight left. Exhale, right ankle to left knee. Bring your elbows down. Inhale, lifts. Exhale, send that foot back to the back of your mat. Inhale, lift your arms up. toe up if you'd like. Inhale, lower. Exhale, twist to the left. It's a deep twist. Inhale all the way to warrior two. I'm off the back of my mat. Inhale, lift your toe. Exhale, lower. Inhale, reach. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, up. And reverse your warrior. Exhale, cartwheel your hands all the way down to your plank. If you'd like to let that left leg fly, go for it. Chaturanga, upward facing, downward facing. Lower your knees to the mat. Take a few deep breaths. In your child's pose, sink your hips back. If you need a sip of water, now's a great time to take it. That was probably really loud in my microphone. I apologize. Coming to your child's pose, if you were toweling or grabbing a sip of water, sink your hips back. Reset that intention. And move through a little core and pigeon stretch here in final preparations of our peak pose. So gently coming up, you can just sit down and swing your legs forward on your mat. Gently lower all the way down to your back, planting your hands. Open up your heart. You can put your hands gently underneath, just kind of like your thumb, not your whole hand, but just kind of the edge of it underneath your butt cheeks, your hips, just to kind of anchor. But if you are doing that, be mindful that you're still pressing your low back against the mat. You don't want to use that as an excuse to arch. You can keep that engagement and then lift your legs up to the sky. And wiggle and find, again, that low back pressed against the mat. Already doing that is going to fire up your core. And here, flex your toes, then point your toes, then Barbie toes. Or some call it flointing. So your feet are pointed, but your toes are flexed. Good. And then lower your feet down to the mat on your exhale. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, keeping that low back as flat on the mat as you can. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Lift. Two more. Lift. Lower. Lift. Squeeze your knees into your chest. Take a brief break. Bring your feet, your shins, parallel to the front of the mat. Interlace your hands behind your head. Lift your shoulder blades off the mat. So now we're coming into those upper abdominis before we were working the lower. Exhale as you twist to the right, bringing your left elbow to your right knee. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. How far you want to twist is up to you. And twist left and center. One more each side. Twist right, center, and left. And center, release. Good. Grab behind your legs, gentle rocks. Up and over to all fours. You may be flying off your mat. Just scoot it back. And then take your right foot and guide it forward to the top of your mat, coming into your half pigeon, straightening your back leg, letting it wiggle back so you can settle into this posture. Now, there's a lot of variation in this pose. Some people will have their foot totally parallel to the front of the mat. you can see I can't even get on top of my weight. My weight's way over here. I'm barely stretching anything. It's kind of uncomfortable. So I have to draw this foot down so that I can get an appropriate amount of stretch. The angle of your foot, your shin rather, to the top of your mat is totally and entirely up to you. It's going to look different for everyone. The things you want to look for is that your back leg, you're not rolled onto the side of it. You're right on top of your knee as long as it's not uncomfortable. And your leg is straight behind you and you're centered in your weight. You're not resting. You can always wedge something underneath you to kind of help keep that weight centered because, again, it's all about the stretch. So you just want to accomplish the stretch. So sitting up nice and tall. If you want to stay here, you can. If you want to walk your hands forward, you can. We'll be here for about a minute. You can release your forehead to a block, your forearms to the mat. Really sink in and breathe. Slowly start to come up. And all you can do is now you can sit on that hip, swing your legs around, bringing them to the front of your mat, and take a few windshield wiper rocks back and forth, kind of reopen up those hip joints if they got a little stiff. And we're going to come into the left side. So it's pretty easy. Keep your left knee forward and swing that right leg behind you. Again, coming up, you can always put your foot parallel and see what that feels like, but unless you've got really flexible hips, it's probably not going to happen. So just wiggle it back until it feels comfortable, and you can really get up and over that left leg. And as you're ready, you can find whatever rest position you would like. Sinking low and breathing. Just let your body open up. Slowly start to come up. Swing your right leg around. Take a few of those little windshield wipers, right and left. And then we're going to take some rocks. So you can just grab the back of your feet and rock back and forth a few times. And then see, if you want to go for it, if you can plant your feet and come up into chair pose. Kind of just for fun. And you can rise up to mountain. We're going to work into our flying pigeon pose here. So again, if this is something you want to attempt, you can just skip ahead until we're back down on our mat stretching. If you'd like to stay with me, follow along. So we will start in a slight chair pose. So go ahead and kind of find that gentle chair. And we'll fly on our right leg first. So with our right leg forward. So start to shift the weight into your left foot as you bring your right heel or ankle really to your left knee. So you want that to feel comfortable. It's not right on top of your kneecap. It's kind of settled and nested in there. And then with your hands to prayer, sink your hips back. Now we're not just tapping our elbows. You want to get your right kind of tricep, almost like where you would do crow pose, but crow you start higher. This one you can just keep it nice and low. You're going to make contact right elbow to right knee. left elbow to right ankle. And then what you want to try to do, hopefully you can see this, is wrap your toes kind of around your arm. That will really help with your stability. Now, if you can touch the mat, all the better. If not, you're going to give yourself a little moment of leap of faith as you kind of shift forward, boop, and plop your hands down. Once you've done that, you are almost there. So your knee, your shin is your shelf. Your knee, your ankle, and your shin. Your hands, your palms are wide, just like they would be in downward facing dog, and you're just going to start rocking your weight forward, just like in crow pose. And see if with that shelf you can slowly start to lift your left leg, drawing your heel to your bottom. Now, if you want to go the full expression of the posture, if you can find that good balance, maybe you can let that left leg reach behind you. Oh, I'm a little out of practice myself. So, you don't have to overdo it. That's pretty intense. 1 or 2 attempts might be good for you. If you want to keep playing, that's the great part about a video. Just hit pause and keep trying. We'll do the left leg together before we get to collapse on our mat and stretch. So for the left leg, sink down back into your chair. Again, I know that wasn't a ton of time, so I trust you guys to use the video to your advantage. Go ahead and bring that left leg up. So now your left ankle, like right above your ankle, is in that meat of where your right thigh meets your knee. Coming down with those prayer hands, start to get those elbows where they need to be. So your right elbow is going to kind of nest in your ankle, your right ankle, and your toes are going to flex so they can kind of wrap around your arm there. And then your left elbow is in touch with your left knee. Now, obviously, I'm not low enough to where I can touch the mat. This all has to do with anatomy and flexibility. So it's kind of this funny in between where you might have to spread your fingers, trust yourself, bend your right knee, and see if you can come forward, get in contact with the mat. Create that shelf with your elbows, shift your weight forward, and draw that right knee up. Flying pigeon. Whew, how'd you do? That is hard, but really fun. If you keep practicing it, your muscles will get muscle memory and you'll learn how to get in and out of the pose. And you can have a lot of fun starting to straighten that back leg out behind you. So, phew, you made it. Coming onto your mat, we'll come into a nice deep straddle stretch here. And this will feel good just again to keep those hips open. But now we're stretching the inner hip and groin instead of that outer hip we've been working so hard on. So inhale your arms to the sky, flex your toes, exhale as you walk your hands forward. It might feel really good to have a block here under your forearms. You may be able to lay flat wherever you are. Find the support you need. Keeping your legs engaged will also help protect those hamstrings where our hamstrings meet our sit bones can be very sensitive. So you just want to be extra careful when you're stretching here. You may let your head drop and just kind of dangle. If you want to find some movement side to side, you certainly can. Just make this posture work for you. And as you come up, slowly start to shake and wiggle your feet. So you just kind of let those legs jiggle on in. And we're going to come to lay on our back. Cool. So gently roll down onto your back. Give yourself some rocks side to side. You can keep your knees into your chest. Let them fall to the right. You can even let your hand come with you. And then open your arm back up to the left. Maybe your gaze goes to the left too. Giving yourself a nice gentle twist here at the end. And then bring your knees back to center. A few rocks side to side. Allow yourself to collapse over to your left and then draw your right arm, shoulder, and gaze back to your right. You can have palms down or palms up. The choice is yours. And coming back to center, drawing your knees in. If there's any other wiggles or moves you feel the need to take, go ahead and take them. Otherwise, we'll slowly open into our Shavasana. Open your palms to the sky, let your feet just fall wide. We'll take 5 deep breaths here. Of course, you can always pause the video and take much longer if you need. Slowly start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe even let the corners of your mouth draw up in a gentle smile. Reach your arms overhead and really just start to stretch and wiggle back into your body. Coming onto your side, push yourself all the way up into a seated position. We didn't start class seated, so this might feel really good. Let your hips fall wide. Draw up tall through your spine. Inhale your arms up to the sky. Exhale your thumbs back to your third eye center, remembering that intention. Seal it in. Did you let it guide you? Did you forget all about it? Did you discover a part of yourself you can carry with you off the mat? On your next exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Thank yourself for spending this time on your mat, moving your body, breathing deep breaths, stretching, strengthening, balancing. Whatever happened, you did great. Thank you again for letting me guide you today. Namaste. Thank you again for joining me. It was a pleasure to lead you in this practice working on pigeon, one-legged chair, and flying pigeon. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.